Hello. So I'm making a video to kind of explain what's going on with me right now and my lack of communication on Patreon this month. Um, as a lot of you know, I am getting ready to move cross country, and that's taken up a lot of my time. I also had uh, somebody I care about very much come and visit for a week, and that was very nice, but it did mean that I had to sacrifice time. But I haven't had any good company aside from my roommates in quite some time, so that was something I really needed. Um, Thirdly, and this is probably the biggest issue right now, is my skin has decided to revolt once more. If you've known me for quite a while, you know that I've had issues with psoriasis, which is related to my diabetes. Um, and in the past, I have gotten a prescription cream from a dermatologist that was extremely expensive. I think the retail on that was $750. I was able to get it on a discount with my insurance. And when I say at a discount, I mean it knocked about $150 off. So still not all that great. When I still had insurance, though, I did have the foresight to invest in an HSA, which took a little bit of money out of my paycheck every pay period, and set some back in case I needed it for an emergency or um, something like this where my insurance didn't quite cover it. So back then, I was able to pay for this prescription as much as it paid me, and that worked. It actually cleared my skin up. So as of right now, I am not employed by that company anymore, obviously, because reasons, and so I don't have that insurance anymore. So I was, due to my various little maladies, I was able to get on Medicaid. And anybody that's been on Medicaid can tell you it is not the best insurance. It'll get you covered to go in and see a doctor, or in my case, a PA, physician's assistant, um, to get, medications, things like that, which is necessary for me because, like I said, I'm diabetic. Um, and with that, I have several other minor, well, not exactly minor, but other things that go along with it. Like I have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, um, psoriasis, like I mentioned. I have psoriatic arthritis, which right now is not really an issue. It mostly affects me in the winter, but also I'm a human barometer, and I live a mile. Sorry about that. I live a mile above sea level, so whenever a storm rolls in, I feel it. But my issue right now is my hands are broken. Not literally broken, but they're incapacitated. Um, so that's why I haven't been posting any updates on any art projects, because I haven't been able to work on any. Um, the psoriasis came back. It only affects my hands and my feet, thankfully. Um, I did have a flare up on my feet that came back, and then um, I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not. I don't want to throw this out of focus too much, but also on my thumb. It's my left thumb, so it's not really too much of a hindrance to me drawing. It is painful though. The skin gets really thick and scaly, and it splits and peels off, and it basically it's an autoimmune thing, but it also tries to heal itself way too fast. So it's on overdrive, basically. So as soon as a piece of it peels off, it grows right back, but it grows back so fast that it's just the continuing. It peels and it peels and it peels, but it just doesn't heal, and it sucks. So I went to see my PA about the beginning of July, and it was either the end of June and the beginning of July, somewhere in that area. Um, I've been given steroid creams for my skin several times over my lifetime, and especially once the psoriasis started up, which I've been fighting with it for nearly 20 years now, and it wasn't until the last 4 or 5 years that I actually got it diagnosed correctly. People kept mistaking it for eczema or something else, or dermatitis, and giving me steroid creams, which would sometimes it would lessen the symptoms, but it never really cleared it up. And so she gave me the steroid cream. She told me, do not use this for longer than 2 weeks. I said, okay. I used it for a week um, because after the first few days, I usually, when I would start using the Taclonex, which is the very expensive medication, I could see an improvement within a couple of days. Whereas with this, it started getting worse. It burned. It, and I told her it's not going to work, but she just kind of dismissed me and was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm the PA here. I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so now instead of anything getting cleared up, I now have these little blisters all over my hands instead of just like on my thumb. And I also have them on my feet, like around my ankles. So, like, gosh, I don't even know if this will show up, but right there on my pinky finger, there is a little rash of blisters, and they're also on my forefingers, and there's one there on my middle finger, and they're on my both forefingers, and it makes holding a pen or a pencil or any kind of writing or drawing utensil very painful. And I hate it. I don't like not being able to draw. I don't like not being able to walk either, which is getting more and more difficult. Um, I have made a little bit of progress on the Wonder Woman painting. Not a whole lot because, like I said, this is very painful, so it's not really something I've been able to work on very much. And to make matters worse, I wanted to go back to see my PA and let her know what was going on, so that I can, try to get this fixed, or at least try to get her to prescribe me something else or refer me to a dermatologist, which would be able to fix me more accurately. Um, but the day after my appointment with my doctor, she had just moved into a new office. The very next day, I called to try to make an appointment, and I get a message that the office is closed because the building flooded. So that's been really inconvenient. And I also had a question for her about another one of my medications that's unrelated, but um, so I couldn't get in to get an appointment. And I've been checking, on their Facebook page and calling uh, at least once a week since then, and they're still not open. And the latest message I just called about an hour ago, the latest message said something along the lines of, we should be taking appointments again within the next week or two. Um, there'll be that they'd be sharing office space with another physician in another part of the building. But yeah, that's still not very helpful for the interim. Um, I still need to go get some blood work done because, well, like I said, I'm diabetic. I have to do that periodically just to check my A1C levels and see what my cholesterol and all of that stuff is at. Oh, something else health related that I haven't talked about other than to a select group of people on my Facebook is I had to go in for a colposcopy um, last month. This is my second one. Um, Basically, back in January when I went in for my regular pap smear, they found some abnormal cells, and it wasn't the first time I've had that. So um, I went in for a colposcopy, which is a cervical biopsy, and basically exactly what it sounds like. They go in, they cut off little bits of my cervix and take those to a lab for testing. And first of all, it hurts like hell because they don't give you any kind of anesthetic or anything for it. They just, give you some little mini pads and are like, here, you're probably going to bleed for a bit. So that sucks. But uh, first time I went in for it, they came back and said that they saw some precancerous cells and that I had to have another one in 6 months. So that was back in January. So last month in June, I went back for another one. Um, Same doctor. She said upon just visual examination that it looked better than before. I had been taking uh, some prenatal vitamins in the interim because of the extra folic acid. So she said supposedly that can help clear some of that up. So she said visually it looked better. She took another sample, another clipping or whatever, and and then a week later she calls me back and says, she's still showing precancerous cells, and that I'll need to have another colposcopy in December. And I try not to think about it too much because it is kind of worrying. Nobody wants to hear the word cancer, even if it's pre-cancer. Um, but I know my aunt had the same thing several years ago,